So welcome back to classes after a long time. So I guess we are left with only one chapter in civics. So that one chapter will finish and we'll wind up with civics. So the last chapter, that is the High Court and subordinate courts. Okay, this is the title of the last chapter. So you all know that these high courts will function from states. So they'll be functioning from a state, and the courts which are you know judicially lower than the high courts from district level, they are referred as subordinate courts. So they function from state as headquarters, a state's capital as headquarters, and here the subordinate courts will start from the district level. So let us go into the chapter and let's start. So if you look at the hierarchy of courts here, this is just an introduction for you. I'll just say like few minutes and then we'll go with the lesson. See, at the topmost level, Supreme Court of India will function, and later the high courts will function, and the high courts will start functioning from the states, and under that we have subordinate courts or lower courts in districts. So the subordinate courts or lower courts at district level, so they are further divided into civil courts, criminal courts, and revenue courts. So what is this civil court and revenue courts and criminal courts? That and all we are going to discuss in this chapter. So this is the hierarchy. Supreme Court at the top, High Court, then subordinate courts. These subordinate courts are further divided into civil, criminal, and revenue courts. So later, we have this civil courts will be held. Who, I mean, heads this civil court, who heads this criminal court, and know what are these various other divisions among this. So these all are going to come for us in this chapter. So let us start. So what are these high courts? So the high courts are the highest courts at the state level. So at a state level, the highest court that can function, or the court with highest powers, is the High Court. And the Constitution of India provides for a high court for each state. So in general, the Constitution, it gives the provision of one high court to one particular state. However, the Parliament can establish even a common high court for two or more states or union territories. So in general, according to Constitution, how many high courts should be there? For every state, there should be one high court. But the Parliament, it can change this as per the needs. So what happens here? It can establish a common high court for two or more states or union territories. So why Parliament will do such kind of things? Because it depends on the area and the population to which a high court has to serve. So if the population is very less, I know it is very negligible and all, in such situations, no, there is no need of a separate high court for such a less number of populated area. During such situations, Parliament will allot that particular state or that particular area to another high court, so that two states which are having a population that is essential, so there they'll have a common high court. See, that nothing but based on population basis. If the population is very less, the number of cases that go to court is also very less. So instead, they can combine two states with a with a proper population, and they can allot a common high court for such situations. And the amount of work it has to handle. So if the amount of work is very less on that high court, then it can even handle the cases from another smaller state. So in only such situations, high courts will be common to two or more states or two or more union territories. So there are 25 high courts in India, including those having jurisdiction over more than one state. So as I said, including the courts, including high courts with including uh, serving two or more states also, the total number of high courts that India is having is 25 high courts. So among the union territories, only Delhi has a high court of its own. See, because it's national capital, I know there will be a huge population there. What happened here is the Union Territory of Delhi has been given a separate high court. So Goa, Daman, Diu have a judicial commissioner. So this we'll discuss at the end what is judicial commissioner and all. So instead of a high court, these union territories like Daman, Diu and other things, they have a judicial commissioner, while the other union territories come under the jurisdiction of different high courts. So if there are some more union territories and all, they all, suppose you take Pondicherry and all, they come under Madras High Court because they belong to that Tamil Nadu area and all. So they will be given to the Madras High Court. So this is about the number of high courts that are present in India. And if you look at so if you look at the picture here, under the Supreme Court's headship, all the high courts, they have to function. So the highest court is Supreme Court, and then under this, every state or one or more states will have a high court. So this is about the introduction to high courts. So coming to the other topic, so the thing is, we have studied about the high courts and a number of high courts, they're about common high courts, all such things. Now let us see what is the composition of the high courts. So each high court will have a chief justice and such other judges. So there will be a chief justice and other judges in high court. So the number of judges in high court other than chief justice, so it depends on the time to time, and it depends on the president. So if the high court requires more number of judges, then the president will provide such number of judges. So here President of India may appoint them from time to time. So Chief Justice and other judges will be appointed as per the decision of the President. Besides this, the President also has the power to appoint additional judges. So the President can also appoint some additional judges to High Court. So who are these additional judges? When they are required. See, when generally the requirement of additional judges occurs when there is a lot of burden on the High Court. So if so the purpose is for the clearance of arrears of work in High Court. That means the High Court is already burdened with lot of cases, and the judges who are there, they are already burdened. They have a lot of cases, and the number of cases are getting pending slowly in that High Court. During such situations, President will appoint additional judges. So these additional judges will be appointed by the president on a temporary period. So they are not like permanent judges. So they are for a temporary period. What is the time period that they will be appointed? Not more than 2 years. So additional judges will be appointed by president not more than 2 years for the clearance of arrears. What do you mean by arrears here? The pending cases. Whatever cases are having, they are pending with the High Court. To clear only such pending cases, additional judges will be appointed. And these additional judges will be appointed for not more than 2 years. And other kind of judges that president will appoint is an acting judge. So an acting judge. What do you mean by an acting judge? See, an acting judge is a judge who will function as a judge when the permanent judge, other than the Chief Justice, is temporarily absent. So you know that there will be one Chief Justice in High Court, and there will be, you know, judges, right? Chief Justice and judges will be there. So here, these two will comprise the High Court. Now, if the judges who are permanent here, generally appointed by president and all, if they are unable to perform their function, that means due to illness, if some judge is unable to come and discharge his duties, or they may be away from the their duties for on a vacation, something, they'll be away from the job profession, and sometimes they might have gone somewhere else and all. During such situations, president may appoint acting judge. Okay, so they are called acting judges. And sometimes even the Chief Justice may not be available to discharge his functions. He may fall ill. So due to many reasons, he may be absent to High Court. During such situation also, an acting Chief Justice will be appointed by the President. So additional judges are different from acting judges. Acting judges will function only when the judges are away from their duties. Additional judges will only function when they have extra burden or when they have pending cases. So acting Chief Justice and acting judges will enjoy all the powers that the regular Chief Justice and regular judges will enjoy. So even though they are called as acting, that doesn't mean that they don't have any powers. They have all the powers that the Chief Justice and judges have. So these judges holds office until the permanent judge resumes his office. So until the permanent Chief Justice and until the permanent judge comes, these acting Chief Justice and acting judges will continue to function in the office of the judge's place, I mean, into the judge's place which they have come. So let us understand now the qualifications required for a person to become a High Court judge. So to any person to become a High Court judge, what are the qualifications required? So according to the Constitution, a person shall be appointed as a judge of High Court under the following conditions. So there are some terms and conditions required for a person like Supreme Court. Here also they require certain terms and conditions. What are they? He should be a citizen of India. So a very obvious point which they require. And he should not be over 62 years. That means he should not have crossed 62 years of age. So he must be below the age of 62 years. And he has held a judicial office in the territory of India for at least 10 years. So generally they might have worked as magistrates, under various courts and various judicial officers position they might have worked. So in such judicial officers, they might have worked for at least 10 years. Such person will be promoted as High Court Judge. Understood? He must be a citizen. He must not be over more than 62 years. Also, they should have worked at least 10 years in a judicial office, like a lawyer judge or a district judge, or something like that. No, they must have worked at least 10 years in a judicial office. So like it may be a judicial office in the sense like a district court, may worked as a civil judge or a criminal sessions judge, maybe something like that. He should have put up an experience of 10 years. Or he has been an advocate of High Court for at least 10 years. So here he should be at least a judicial officer for 10 years in the lower courts, or he may be an advocate, that means a practicing lawyer in the High Court for at least 10 years. So if either of this is okay for the appointment. So and the qualification, he should have been a distinguished jurist, which was added by 42nd Amendment Act, was omitted by 44th Amendment Act 1978. So like in Supreme Court, the president can appoint a distinguished jurist, right? A person who is very good at the subject of law and other things. He can appoint them as a distinguished, on the basis of distinguished jurist. The president can appoint a person as Supreme Court judge. But in a High Court, there is no such provision. Earlier, there was such provision, but by 44th Amendment Act 1978, this distinguished jurist was removed from high courts. Only Supreme Court at present have this vacancy of distinguished jurist. Any person who is good at subject of law and other details, a professor in law and other things, can be appointed as a Supreme Court judge by president. But in High Court, a distinguished jurist is not present now. Earlier it was present. Actually, in 1976, it was given. This provision was given to High Courts or by President to appoint even a distinguished jurist to High Court. Later, by 44th Amendment Act 1978, it was again removed. So these are the qualifications required for a person to become a High Court judge in India. So Then coming to the appointment of judges of High Court. So how these judges of High Court are appointed, let us see. So I said that there are two kinds of judges in High Court. One is the Chief Justice and the other is other judges. So let us see how Chief Justice is appointed. So the Chief Justice of a High Court is appointed by the President of India. So President of India is the authority to appoint the Chief Justice of a High Court. And before appointing this Chief Justice, President of India will consult. Okay, so he will discuss or he will put up the issue before the Chief Justice of Supreme Court. He will take the opinion of the Chief Justice of Supreme Court and the governor of the concerned state. Suppose you take in this picture, see here, he is the governor and he is our Chief Justice. By name, his name is Maheshwari. Suppose the president want to appoint him as Chief Justice. So Ramnath Kovind, what he will do? First, he will discuss with the Chief Justice of India. So Justice Bobde, right? So he will talk with Justice Bobde and later he will talk, Ramnath Kovind later will talk with the governor of the state concerned. So he is Vishwabhushan Kumar, who is our Andhra Pradesh governor. So president will talk with the governor of the state, the Chief Justice of India, and he will appoint the Chief Justice of our High Court. So this is the process of appointment in the High Court with the High Court Chief Justice. Governor of concerned state and Chief Justice of India will be consulted by President. And if you take other judges, how they are appointed. So in appointing, so even these other judges are also appointed by President. Clear? Both Chief Justice and other judges, they are appointed by President. So in appointing the other judges of High Court, the President shall consult first, he will consult the Chief Justice of India. So the Chief Justice of India will be consulted. Later, the Governor of the state. So Governor of the state will be consulted. And then the Chief Justice of High Court. Suppose you take Andhra Pradesh. So for this Andhra Pradesh, they wanted to appoint a High Court judge. Now in appointing this judge, who will involve? President will involve. So President will take opinion of three people. One is the Chief Justice of India, the other is Governor of the state, and the Chief Justice of Andhra Pradesh High Court. So these three people opinion he will take and he will appoint a judge to Andhra Pradesh High Court. So any state in the similar manner. Other judges only additionally the Chief Justice of that particular state High Court will add. So rest of the thing is same. You may get confusion here. See here, appointment is given by President. But what is the governor doing here? So in the judicial functions of the governor, oath giving ceremony or oath is given by governor. On behalf of, see, generally the governor is representative of president at the state. So here what happens? Governor will give oath ceremony to the Chief Justice of High Court as well as judges. That doesn't mean that it is governor giving them appointment. It is not the governor giving them appointment. The president will give them appointment and oath giving ceremony will be done by the governor of the state. So governor of the state will present before during the appointment ceremony and he will give them oath to their office. So this is about the appointment of judges of High Court. After understanding the composition, like how judges are appointed and other details, let us now try to understand what are the conditions of their service. So how long the judges can give their services and what conditions will be there in their services. So all such information now we'll study. See, the service conditions of judges of high courts ensure that high courts are independent in carrying out their work from legislative and executive wings. So this is, the non-federal spirit itself. It's in the federal system of governance. This has been divided, right? In the very first chapter, you have understood that judiciary has been kept, independent so that it can monitor the executive and the legislative, and it can protect the provisions of the constitution. So, in the conditions of the service of the judges who work for the high courts, the judges who work for the high courts, they can independently carry out the work. So there is no influence from legislative and executive wings. So the constitution has given provision in such a way that even the high courts at state level can function independently without the influence from legislature of the state and the executive wings of the government, so which operates at state level. Now let us see the retirement, removal and transfer of the judges, which will tell us the conditions. So first let us see what is the retirement of a high court judge. The judge of a high court enjoys security and tenure, and he can remain in office till he has attained the age of 62 years. So here a judge of a high court, so how many years he can you know be like a judge? Till he reaches the age of 62 years. So till he reaches the age of 62 years, the judge can remain in office and nobody can remove him. So neither an additional nor an acting judge can hold office beyond the age of 62 years. So this additional and acting judge, these things we have studied, right? So where additional judges will be appointed by president when there are no more pending cases with the High Court, and he cannot be appointed more than 2 years. That also we studied. And acting judges. So when the permanent judges or the chief justice, when they are not in their in a position to function, during that situation, acting judges will come and function. Even those judges, either they may be acting or additional judges, once they finish the 62 years, they cannot be appointed again as any form of judge with high court. So once 62 years is finished, all kinds of judges that are with high court stands retired, so they cannot again take, they cannot function as judges. A judge of a high court, so this is about the retirement. 62 years is the age of retirement. Coming to the removal, so a judge of a high court can be removed by president. So who can see, whoever gives him appointment, they only have the authority to remove them. So a judge of a high court is generally given appointment by president, and he can only remove the judges. So president appoints them, president removes them. So on what grounds, on what basis the president can remove them? Proved misbehavior. So what is it called? Proved misbehavior or incapacity. That means, they were unable to discharge their duties, and their inefficiency, if it is proved, if their behavior is here, no, proved misbehavior or incapacity. So if this is proved, their behavior was not decent and all, and if their inefficiency is proved, then what happens? It is generally, uh, will be the reason for removal of a high court judge, and such thing will be proved on an address of each house of parliament. Even a high court judge, like a supreme court judge, high court judge, if he has to be removed, so there must be involvement of the parliament. Okay, so the same way how you studied, like in the Supreme Court judge removal, so it comes into one house, later it goes into another house. So in the same manner, such an address which were made by both houses in the removal, suppose this called, the removal process is called impeachment motion, so which So this impeachment movement, motion should be supported by a majority of the total membership of house and two-thirds of the members present and voting. So generally it's called special majority, where two-third members of the house, they should present and they should vote out the judge. Unless and until both houses passes a resolution with two-thirds majority, a High Court judge cannot be removed. So, and once the Houses of Parliament passes the resolution of impeachment, then the President will issue the removal orders. And if you take an example, in 2011 August, Justice Saumitri Sen of Calcutta High Court, he became the first judge in India's history against whom an impeachment motion was passed in the Rajya Sabha. So almost Rajya Sabha passed the resolution and he was about to be removed. So on what basis he was removed? Misappropriation of public funds. So I'll explain this, what is misappropriation of public funds and all. But this impeachment motion was however dropped in Lok Sabha because Justice Saumitri Sen resigned from his post. So when he was judge, he has done some financial misappropriation or fraud. In such situation, Rajya Sabha has passed the resolution for his impeachment. But when the resolution went to Lok Sabha, by that time, Justice Saumitri Sen has resigned. So as he resigned, the impeachment will not be valid. So Lok Sabha dropped the resolution which was sent by Rajya Sabha, and now he resigned from his post and the impeachment motion was stopped. And Saumitri Sen became the first judge in India's history to face an impeachment motion. So this is nothing but the slide which is explaining again the similar thing. So like first what happens, a removal motion should be signed by the members of one house, and now later they have to accept it. A three-member committee will look into that that petition which was given in the house, either it may be Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. From their investigation will start. The committee will investigate on what basis there are some allegations on the judge. Later, if the committee of the any house where the petition was served, if it says yes, there are some there are definitely some allegations worthy enough, then the impeachment motion will start, and it will be passed by that house with special majority, which is two-third majority, and it will go to next house, and from there it goes to president, and the president signs on the removal orders of the judge, and now it will be done. So generally the process is this is just a flow chart of that, and he is Mr. Saumitri Sen. You can see him here. He came to Rajya Sabha and he was giving his opinion. This is a live picture of taken from Rajya Sabha website where Justice Saumitri Sen was giving his version. He was saying about his version in house. I told you that no, the judges can explain their version when the charges are made against them. So they can attend the house and they can make the judges. So you can see here even the Lok Sabha has passed the resolution with majority votes, but as we said, no, and as he resigned, this was dropped in Lok Sabha. I said right, there are some misappropriation charges on Justice Saumitri Sen. He collected some money from and he kept in his own account. So something like that. There were allegations and they were proved, but no, it was dropped in Lok Sabha. So this was about the removal. We have studied retirement and removal. The removal process is called impeachment. So impeachment is done through both houses, special majority. Finally, president will accept and it will get done. So this is about the impeachment process. So now coming to the transfer of the judges. So we have studied retirement, impeachment or removal, and now the transfer of the judges of High Court. So who can transfer the judges of High Court? It is the President again. So the transfer may happen from one High Court to another High Court only if the following conditions are fulfilled. So in certain conditions, if these conditions are fulfilled, then the President will issue orders of transfer to a particular High Court judge. So orders for transfer can be issued after consulting the Chief Justice of India. So President cannot issue orders just like that. So before giving transfer orders to a High Court judge, he has to consult the Chief Justice of Supreme Court. And once the issue is in the court of Chief Justice, or with the, when Chief Justice has to decide to where he has to get transferred, the Chief Justice of India, he must give a recommendation to President only after consulting four senior most judges of Supreme Court. So first, President, then President will ask Supreme Court Chief Justice, and Supreme Court Chief Justice, he will take the decision by consulting four senior most judges of Supreme Court, and then he will recommend back to President. And also, along with the Supreme Court Chief Justice, and what happens is there are some more Chief Justices where the opinion has to be taken. That is, suppose this is High Court, this is Andhra Pradesh High Court, and here Karnataka High Court is there. So a judge has to be transferred from Andhra to Karnataka High Court. Now, the Supreme Court Chief Justice, he will consult four judges, senior most judges in his court, Supreme Court, that is. Also, he will consult with the, High Court judge from where this judge has been getting transferred. Also, to the Chief Justice where he is going to get transferred. So if he is transferred from Andhra to Karnataka, the opinion of Andhra High Court Chief Justice, Karnataka High Court Chief Justice is also taken into consideration, and later the transfer orders will be, on this recommendation, the transfer orders will be given by President. And when a judge has been transferred, he shall be entitled to compensatory allowance in addition to his salary. So what happens, like, once this is all, it takes time. Once the orders have to come and all, once transfer orders are ready, the other high court should accept. This procedure and all will continue. During this time, this person cannot attend the court. So during such situation also, he'll be given compensatory allowances. So allowance is nothing but short-term money kind of thing. So that allowances also will be given for this particular judge who got transferred. So you can see in this slide here, where a transfer order has been given by through the Ministry of Law and Justice. The President has issued a transfer order for the High Court judge. So this is about retirement, impeachment, and transfer of a High Court judge.